All right, this is Clayton County Magistrate Court preliminary hearing court date. Today's date is May the 20th, 2026. This is Christopher Wayne Monroe and warrant numbers 2026 WA 06174 175 176 177 178 and 179. All parties have announced ready to proceed and are present. ADA Thomas, you can present the state's case.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, can I get you to raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you should give before the court today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Put your hand down, state your name for the record.
Lieutenant Tina Hendrick.
And Lieutenant, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the Morrow Police Department.
And were you so employed on or about March 28th of 2026?
Yes.
Did you have occasion to investigate an incident at 6176? I believe this is Carriage Drive.
I did this 6176 Oak Ridge Drive.
Oak Ridge. Okay, I've got two different addresses here. Did your investigation involve a Christopher Monroe?
Yes, ma'am.
And did this Oak Ridge Drive location, is that within the confines of Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please advise the court as to what happened at the Oak Ridge location involving Christopher Monroe?
Yes, ma'am. On March 28th, 2026, at approximately 4:45, myself and Sergeant Wilson was dispatched to actually 6163 Oak Ridge Drive, which is where the victim was located at, where they made the 911 call. The offense had actually happened at 6176 Oak Ridge Drive. Sergeant Wilson had arrived there. It was also in reference to a male subject who was unclothed with nothing but a black trench coat and was armed with a weapon, a handgun. Sergeant Wilson had arrived prior to me, along with a Clayton County deputy and a Clayton County police officer. They had gotten the testimony from the victim that the subject was in the house, had a weapon, had pointed it at him. They went and they cleared the garage area. The house had a lot of stuff in it, a lot of belongings. A lot of hiding areas. So they cleared the downstairs, moved to the outside on the backside, which is where I met up with the three of them. While we were standing out there, Sergeant Wilson had informed me that they did not find anyone in the garage area, but he could hear movement above him in the house upstairs. As we were standing out back, we started to walk around the front, and I could hear movement on the back deck, but you couldn't see if anyone was on the back deck because of all the clutter and stuff. So knowing that I had a potentially armed subject and we didn't know where he was at, we moved everybody back towards the front, set up a small perimeter. We had a civilian on scene who actually had a drone. He put his drone in the air just so we could maintain a visual of the residents to make sure no one left or came in. I went down the road to 6163 and spoke with the victim. I cannot pronounce the victim's name. The last name spelling is Nguyen. I spoke with him. He told me that while he was standing in his garage near his pickup truck, that this subject had approached him and had pulled a gun on him and told him that to give him his vehicle, that the police were after him. He said that the suspect was holding the gun close to him because they didn't want anyone to see it. He said that he then proceeded to run down the street because he was in fear of his life. He left the residence, ran down the street to the 6163 Oak Ridge Drive, which is where he called 911. He had further told me that this subject had been on another road, Graceland Circle, which is, I think, one road over from them, where he was completely naked, according to a second victim who later reports the stolen weapon. He had him on ring camera where this subject had went into his truck, had taken the weapon, and then as he took the weapon, he ran across the backyard towards Oak Ridge Drive. So that's how he had gotten the weapon to begin with. At that point in time, knowing that we had a subject that was barricaded
Let me stop you on. Let me stop you because you got a lot going on here. So
yes, ma'am.
First of all, do any of these people know this man?
No, ma'am.
Okay. He started with one victim and took that victim's gun out of his truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Then he cut through the yards. Did I miss something?
No, ma'am. He cut through yards and went over to Oak Ridge.
And confronted the
Which is,
second victim in his garage.
yeah. Sometime between the moment he stole the weapon and went to the garage, though, somewhere in between there, he picks up a black trench coat because he's got no clothes on. He's naked.
And when the second victim sees him is when he's standing there with the
Yes.
gun and the trench coat.
Yes.
Do
Yes,
any
ma'am.
of these people happen to have any type of video, ring camera, or anything to capture any of this?
Yes, the first victim, who lives at 6134 Graceland Circle, and his last name spelling is Huynh. He was the one that the weapon got stolen from. Now, we didn't have the knowledge of this at that time, any of his information. He came and had called 911, but we couldn't get over there. Sergeant Wilson had went to go to his house, but because then there was this call that came out right after it, he was never able to get the video until Lieutenant McFadden got the video.
And what does the video show?
I've never seen that video. From my understanding, according to the reports in this case, it shows him entering the vehicle, taking the weapon out of the vehicle, and then running across into, like, behind the house, the residence across the street behind the house, over to Oak Ridge.
Okay. And can you see the gun on the video? Is that clear?
From what the reports state, the other supplementals in this case, yes, it states that you could see him take the gun out of the truck.
Okay. And I believe you indicated this is currently in law enforcement custody, possession?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After observing the defendant, I believe on the second victim's property, was he actually detained, or what happened next?
At that point in time, I had gotten in touch with my captain, who is also the commander of the SRT. I essentially turned it over to him. He started calling around, getting some more resources, which we went ahead and turned it over to the Clayton County SWAT team, who they then gave, went through the whole scale of giving the commands to come out, which he refused to do. They eventually made entry into the house and found him laying on the couch.
Was he ever given permission?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. Was he ever given permission or consent to enter the victim's home?
No, ma'am.
Did they ask him to leave?
I'm not sure if they asked him to leave. I just know that the man said that he was in fear of his life and ran. Once he pulled the gun on him and told him to give him the keys to the vehicle, he took off running.
And was this inside of the house?
It was right inside the garage.
And then he went into the house itself?
Yes.
Okay. Was there anyone
Yes,
else inside the home when he entered?
No, ma'am.
And I believe you were saying something else before I asked my question.
I think I was just clarifying something that we were already talking about. I don't remember.
Now, you indicated that law enforcement actually entered the home and found him on the couch. What was he doing?
My understanding is he was just laying on the couch. He was under the impression that that was his house. He had, from what I was told, he had taken a shower, put on some of the man's clothes. He actually at one point used the victim's phone, which was left there. He had used the victim's phone in answering a phone call from the negotiator, and was claiming to be the victim.
The victim left his cell phone in the home?
Yes, yes.
Did he make any statements to law enforcement?
The only thing that I am aware of is that when they found him, he was explaining that it was his house. This was my house, and making comments of that, like that.
Did they find the weapon?
Yes, they did end up finding the weapon.
Was it loaded?
I don't think so, because it didn't even have a magazine in it.
Okay. But the victim wouldn't have known that?
No, we all thought that it was loaded and had we didn't know it didn't have the magazine in it until we found the weapon.
Okay. Was anyone hurt?
No, ma'am.
And was he asked to leave the residence or come outside of the residence?
Yes, ma'am. Numerous times.
Have you ever seen him before?
No, ma'am.
Did you see him that day?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that's all. Oh, one more question. The video that we've been talking about, you do have that in law enforcement custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any other video other than that? I believe you mentioned a drone.
The body cam videos, car cam, in-car videos, that should depict where I think we probably spent, and I'm guesstimating approximately an hour trying to get him to come out on the PA systems in our car. So you'll definitely be able to hear us calling him out and him ignoring.
When I'm assuming it was a SWAT team that went into the home and found him on the couch.
Yes, ma'am. It was the Clayton County.
Was any of that captured on video?
I would assume, well, I don't know if they wear body cam video or body cams. I'm not sure if their SWAT team wears body cam or not.
Okay. And I believe that's all I have. Reserve right for redirect.
Cross-examination, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you. Lieutenant Hendrick, are you the primary on the case?
I am.
And just so I'm clear, as far as the discussion of videos, if I'm following, there seems to be a video from I believe the Carriage, Carriage Lane, Carriage Drive, that residence, the Carriage location.
It would be the one from Graceland Circle, 6134 Graceland Circle.
Okay. And at Graceland Circle, what's alleged to have happened is the theft of a weapon. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then, if I'm following, what's captured on video there is the alleged. Well, let me back up. You said you haven't seen that video,
No, I haven't seen the video.
but it's your understanding that the video captures the entry into a vehicle and the taking of a weapon. Is that correct?
Yes.
As far as the other location, just want to make sure I got the street name. The Oak Ridge Drive. Is that location? Is that video from that location?
No, not that I'm aware of.
As you understand it, other than the alleged victim at Graceland and the alleged victim at Oak Ridge Drive, are those the only witnesses to those incidents?
To my understanding, that's the only witnesses that I know of that I was able to obtain. I ended up leaving earlier because the SRT team and them stayed on scene while I went and got the warrants and stuff. So I ended up having to leave the scene a little earlier.
You said the SRT team. What's that?
Special response team. Morrow has an SRT team, but we ended up turning it over to the Clayton County SWAT team.
And are you the one who personally spoke to either of the alleged victims?
I spoke with the one on Oak Ridge. Lieutenant McFadden is the one who spoke with the one that is over on Graceland. We actually, the way this came out was it first came out as a call on Graceland Circle, the original call. But when Sergeant Wilson had arrived to take the stolen weapon report, then the call came out with an armed man who had attempted to carjack the victim's truck. So he left this scene to go over to that one. And then later on, Lieutenant McFadden, later that night, went over and took the victim's information on Graceland Circle.
Thanks for explaining that. And if I'm following, I think I heard you correctly, the initial taking of the weapon, you're saying that Mr. Monroe was naked at that time?
Yes, sir.
And well, you said you didn't see him that night, is that correct? Or that
Correct.
day? Have you seen any video of him that day?
No, sir. The only thing I got was a description of what the victim I spoke to described him as.
And at the Oak Ridge location, if I'm following, the alleged victim is already, they're outside of the residence, they're not inside the house, is that correct?
They were right inside the garage.
To your knowledge, is there anyone inside of the house?
It was just the victim that I spoke with. I asked him if there had been anyone else in the house, and he said no.
And I just want to make sure I heard and understood a couple of things you said on direct correctly. If I'm following, Mr. Monroe is inside of the residence to your understanding for at least about an hour, is that correct?
Oh, he was in there from, I got on scene at 4:45, and at midnight, I think they were still dealing with him being inside the residence.
Okay, all right, so that's a little bit more of a timeline. And so at least about 7 hours, it sounds like.
Yes.
7 plus, okay. And to your knowledge, there's no allegation of anything, I guess, being like damaged or anything like that inside the residence? Is that correct?
Not to my knowledge. I couldn't, like I said, I had left early, so I wasn't able to go in and see if there was any damage. But the victim did say he's got a lot of stuff in his house. It could be considered, I guess, hoarding, as far as what the victim would say. So I don't know what it would have looked like before or after, to be honest. I didn't enter.
Understood. Does the alleged victim at the Oak Ridge location, do they actually witness the entry into the residence?
Yeah, he's the one that told me he went in when he took off because he thought he was going to get shot. He said he went immediately towards the upstairs to go up in the house.
Is there any description of the weapon given?
I believe he said it was a silver handgun. Let's see. Yeah, silver semi-automatic handgun.
One moment. Maybe all of my questions. I have one moment.
Mr. Rogers, are you frozen?
No, I said that I was taking a moment to make sure that was all of my questions.
Okay.
No further questions at this time.
All right, let me redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Officer, you indicated that the victim, and I'm gonna make sure I got the correct address for the home invasion. That's the Oak Ridge address, correct?
Yes, 6176 Oak Ridge Drive.
At the time that the victim was confronted by the defendant, when you say he's in the garage, can you describe that garage?
If I recall, it was going to be like a double kind of garage. It was a pretty big opening, and they were inside the garage. The truck was out here, and he was inside his garage, and he stepped into the garage, and that's when he pointed the gun at him and
Okay,
said
let me
that
stop
he
you
needed.
right quick. When you
Yes,
say
yes.
when he stepped in the garage, when you say he, are you talking about the defendant, the victim stepping out of the house? Well, into the garage from the interior, or the defendant stepping into the garage?
I got you. I understand. The defendant stepping into the garage. The victim was already in his garage. Then the defendant stepped into the garage.
Is this a garage that has like garage doors, or can it be sealed?
Yes, ma'am. It has garage doors. They can be closed, but
And
they
is it
weren't. They were open.
okay? And is it attached to the house? Is it
Yes,
built
ma'am.
into the house? Like, say mine, it's a part of my house.
Right. It is. It was a part of his house.
Okay.
Like there were
And
steps going from the garage up into the house.
the victim was on those steps. Where was he positioned? Do you know?
He was not on the steps. He was like, if the garage is a car length back, right? That's the length of he was probably maybe, from what he described to me, he was probably maybe 2 or 3 feet inside his garage standing there. When the guy came into the garage and approached him, the suspect came in and approached him with the gun, and he said he held it like this, concealing it to his chest because he didn't want anybody to see it. And he said, "The cops are after me. Give me the keys to the truck."
Did the
And he
victim
said
run
that
back
when he
in?
saw.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the victim then runs out of the garage.
Okay.
The suspect then goes in further into the garage and goes upstairs.
And defendant goes into the house.
Yes.
The house proper, I should say.
Yes.
The victim
Yes, the
did not
defendant
run
goes in
back
the
into
house.
the house. He ran down the driveway and on away.
Yes.
And did he indicate whether or not he was in fear of his life at that time?
He did. He specifically said that he was in fear of his life, so he ran. Because he left his cell phone and everything at the house. He didn't take anything. He just ran down to the neighbors.
And no family member was in the home at the time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now that's all I have.
All right, any cross-examination based on those questions?
No, Judge, just argument.
All right. Any other witnesses or evidence on behalf of the state?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Judge. So as it relates to the aggravated assault charge, Judge, if I'm following, the aggravated assault seems to be alleged to have happened at the Oak Ridge location. And if I'm following, it seems to be in conjunction with what's alleged to be the hijacking attempt. Couple of things I'll say though is that in this case, if I'm following, the weapon that was used wasn't loaded. And part of the reason I mention that is as it relates to aggravated assault. As it relates to the criminal attempt hijack, I won't argue against. I'm not going to go as far as to concede or agree, but I do want to make clear that this argument applies more specifically to the aggravated assault. Judge, I guess my first issue is that if the firearm doesn't have any ammo in it, then it's not deadly in that sense.
How would the alleged victim know that?
Well, and that's kind of why I drew the distinction between the hijacking, because there's a difference between like an armed robbery or even I would say a hijacking, since it's basically a form of an armed robbery, and that the weapon, you don't actually have to have a weapon or be able to actually effectuate any harm in that case. I would say was an aggravated assault if the allegation is that the weapon itself is deadly, then the fact that it's not loaded, it's not capable of affecting it, isn't actually a deadly weapon at that point. So that's why I said that's why I didn't apply this argument to the hijacking, because I understand what you're asking. I think with your question, I think I would concede that as it relates to the hijacking. That's why I didn't apply it to that. But in this case, there's no allegation that he attempted to actually strike or harm physically that person. So there's not an actual assault in that sense. And obviously no shots were fired. So I would ask for a dismissal for the aggravated assault on that basis, even though like I said, I'll submit on the criminal attempt hijacking allegation. As it relates to the home invasion charge, Judge, that'd be the other case, or excuse me, the other charge that I take issue with. In that case, Judge, I would say that if I'm following the contact with the alleged victim at that location happens in the garage, not actually in the dwelling itself. People don't live in garages generally, Judge, especially if they have the house.
Did you hear that? She asked her a question about the garage, whether there was a door to open and close.
Oh,
So,
yes,
like,
ma'am.
contained within the home space.
I didn't hear the last part, but
Yeah, because I remember her distinctly asking her about whether, because you know how they had the carports, and she said no, it's the kind where the garage door opens and closes.
right.
So
And
I'm just trying to figure out how you're separating that.
yes, ma'am. What I would say about that is kind of even, in light of, you just mentioned the carport, and that's kind of my point is that, a carport, that I have a carport in my house. There's a door under the carport. That's where I go, from the car into the house at. My carport is not my house. I don't sleep out there. And I would say the same thing would apply to the garage in that that's not the dwelling. Like you could take the garage, you could take my carport off, you could take the garage off. You still have a house to live in. So I wouldn't agree that they're one and the same. It'd be more of an auxiliary, I guess, to the house. And so my point is that the actual entry into the house, for one, the house is unoccupied. So that would be the first issue with it as a home invasion. For two, the idea that there was any intent to commit some sort of forcible felony or anything inside of this residence. There's no one inside, so there's no one to commit such a crime against. Additionally, there doesn't seem to be any allegation of any sort of destructive behavior or anything like that inside of the residence that would support any kind of finding of an intent to commit any sort of felony. I think at the most it would be the intent to commit, I guess, possibly. Not even clear that's an intent to commit an obstruction. I mean, they say he went in and took a shower. Was laying on the couch, so I'm not even sure that it was even an intent to commit an obstruction when the entry occurred. So for those reasons, Judge, I would ask for a dismissal of the home invasion and the aggravated assault.
All right, any comment?
Judge, actually, I would ask the court to bind over this case in its entirety to the Superior Court. I think the lieutenant has made a sufficient showing of probable cause in this matter. Specifically, Your Honor, I think Attorney Rogers made a good point when he mentioned that and when he was talking about whether or not this could be detached, the garage. In this particular case, which is why I specifically asked the lieutenant about it, this is not a detached area. This is not a carport. Just like at my house, for example, I can't disconnect my garage from my house. It is structurally a part of the house. And would I choose to sleep in the garage? No, but I don't choose to sleep in my kitchen or my dining room either. But it's a part of my house. Can I separate parts of my house? I can close off a room. I can separate this and that, but it's still a part of my house. This victim using a part of his house was confronted by this man with a gun and a trench coat. And he had no way of knowing, as the court observed, that this man didn't have a clip in the gun. I wouldn't have stuck around either. I would have run. And that's exactly what this man did. And as far as to his intent taking over somebody else's house, staying in there for hours on end. I believe the lieutenant, if I understood her correctly, he was there for at least 3 hours, probably more, while the SWAT team and the hostage negotiators and what have you are trying to get him out of the house. So at this point in time, Your Honor, based on the confrontation he had with not one but two people in their at their homes, state would ask that the case be transferred in its entirety to the Superior Court.
All right. After hearing evidence and testimony, the court does find sufficient probable cause for all of the charges. So this case will be bound over to Superior Court for further prosecution. This matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Lieutenant, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.